2, you won't soon forget.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, club members. It is episode 3 of season 2 of Club Barnett. And away we go. Jeff, we had some fun with this particular episode. Wanted to kind of get into Ronnie's mind a little bit about his bass and that number 2 on it. A lot of fans in the know are familiar with what it's all about, but Ronnie gives his take on it.
It's a great story too,
Yes.
as always.
Yes.
Another story by Ronnie, and yeah, I'm glad you asked this question because for those who know, it's always great to hear the story. For those that don't, it's an eye opener, I think.
Yes. And also, we also ask him about tour riders, right?
Yeah, that's something that's always been interesting to me as somebody who grew up listening to rock music and hearing some of the stories about some of these bands and what they had to have in their rehearsal room and what couldn't be there. And
Right.
so I was always curious what Kim, Roy, and Ronnie had to have or or needed in order to get going on stage.
Yes.
So yeah, so that's something that we learned.
So that was a little bit of a. I was thinking back of, wasn't it a Swordfish or something with the Led Zeppelin? I'm not sure if there's a story about that, but anyways, I didn't get that crazy.
No, it did not get that crazy. And then we end with another quick take from Ronnie and somebody that's near and dear to both of our hearts. In fact, he might be sitting right behind you.
Maybe not. All right, enjoy the show.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, all their. I wish I could say there's any super deep. But what it is me and I've talked to most people from my generation who are musicians. Roy is in this camp too. The Kids Are All Right movie was so influential to so many people wanting to be in a band, wanting to pick up an instrument. And that movie, I can't stress enough, and you would have had to have been there. Now there's like so many documentaries. People wouldn't get the significance, but that movie was special. I remember I saw it in the movie theater at least 3 times during its first run. And I was 11 or whatever. But it's the Who, and somehow that number, Pete Town during the performance parts that they filmed specifically for the movie, Pete Townsend's playing a Les Paul that's got a number. It's not. I remembered it as a number 2. Turns out it's not a number 2. Right. I think it's 1. To be honest, I couldn't tell you. Somebody's going to comment.
Yeah, I don't remember.
5. Yeah, it's something. But anyway, it's not a number 2. But I remembered it being a number 2. So I was just in a hardware store and I saw those numbers, and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna put the number 2. Back then when we started playing, it was the grunge era, and so there were stickers on the bass and stuff. Now I never use stickers. When I get stickers, I'm like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
I don't stick stickers on anything, when somebody's got their laptop, it's got stickers on it. Anyway, that's another subject. But yeah, that's all. So that's all there's to it. It's my nod to Pete Townsend and the Who and rock and roll. And yeah, and it's weird how some people have that's become like a signature. Somebody made an action figure of me, and they lovingly recreated the bass.
Wow.
And I gotta say, that is the part that besides seeing me,
look at that look at that hair
with my with the hair. That's a good story about the hair.
Yeah.
But look at that. When I saw the number 2 on there,
that is attention to detail, isn't it?
This brought me to tears. So yeah, whoever did this is a genius. And
I have to agree.
Yeah.
That was a labor of love in that hair debacle.
I appreciate that. Yeah, the hair thing. Yeah. Maybe you can flash in the picture of what you got. So just so for everyone watching, Frank made that figure for me, which is amazing to me. And he sent them a picture of the place that was making the head. and they saw my hair, which is look, this is chestnut brown, let's face it, but there's some gray in there now. But yeah, and so they sent Frank back the head, and it looks like I just washed my hair with like Selsun blue, like it's like
it was a gray afro.
Bubbly. Yeah, it's a gray afro, basically. So as kind of weird as this hair looks with the flat long hair, it looks a hell of a lot better than the gray bubbly thing. But hilarious. You don't think of that kind of stuff that goes into constructing a head of an action figure.
That was a lot of fun though.
Of course, Jeff. 6 bottles of moonshine, locally made. No.
What about for the rest of the band?
Did you have to have coasters?
We had to have coasters of my image as Paul Stanley. Our rider was Oh yes, our rider was pretty. We didn't overdo it on our rider. What do we have? The funniest rider item we had was and this stopped after a while, but Kim had a box of some certain brand of cornflakes that she liked. Yeah, this is we're not getting like Boone's Farm. We're getting specific boxes of cornflakes. And it's funny. I become friends with this person now, but in Houston, she was kind of complaining to somebody who came backstage. My friend Greg now, and he heard all this, and 2 days later, we're, I don't know, Alabama or something. The club owner's like, "Oh, you got a package here." We opened the package, and he had sent a box of the cornflakes that Kim liked to this club. Yeah, so
that's all right.
That's the weirdest thing. I had, what I had specifically? I had Jolt Cola.
Whoa, Jolt!
Yeah, rider.
Wow.
I didn't drink coffee then. Which we rarely got, but every once in a while we'd get it. Gatorade. We didn't have anything too out of hand. We had chips and salsa on the rider, so that would be an easy thing for people to get, and we could eat at sound check. M&Ms. They didn't have to remove the brown ones.
Yeah.
All right.
I was going to ask you about that. The man behind you, your shoulder there, he made that quite popular.
That's right.
But you know what? He had a very good reason for doing it. And his wasn't a power play as much as it was about safety and union. And you've heard the story about how if you're not reading what we want in the backstage, then you're not reading the safety issues with OSHA and everything else.
Exactly.
And they've got a big production to do. So you guys are a little bit different, playing a club. I just want to get some nourishment afterwards.
People were generally, give us stuff. Clubs weren't always nice to it. We rarely, if ever, had a bad, a bad experience with a club owner. Besides like breaking stuff or whatever. Which happened in the early days, and it would be me. There's the famous story of me breaking a glass neon sign. Did we talk about this in season 1?
No.
Okay. There was a club in Austin we played called the Electric Lounge, and behind the stage was this, I later learned, a vintage neon sign that said electric. And what was happening was it was clearly buzzing the whole time. So not that there's a lot of silence in a Muffs set generally, but it was buzzing, and I just kept asking the person to I'll say politely, but maybe not so much, to turn off the sign. And they kept it on. And at the end of the set, I took my bass and I poked my bass into the sign, little knowing that it was glass, and the whole thing just went, just shattered the whole thing, right?
Oh. I thought you were going to say you unplugged it or something.
No.
It had to be dramatic.
The sign went.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that was the end of the set. And so we go backstage, and the club owner comes straight back.
Ooh.
And he looks at me and goes, "Are you the one that broke the sign?" And I looked at him and I go, "No." If he didn't know, right?
Yeah.
Was I gonna so anyway, this caused like I say, it's in Austin, Texas. So after the show, literally half the crowd applauded me, and they were mainly the musicians who knew what I was talking about. And then half the crowd wanted to kill me. And because they're like, that sign is, vintage and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we paid for the sign. They got a quote the next day. We paid. It actually wasn't that much to repair. And I got to say, that kind of put us on the map in Austin. It got a lot of press. Like, people were like, did the Muffs bass player have a point? Should bands, be able to have the sign on or off? So, yeah, I'm not especially proud of that, but that happened. Yeah. So
Very good.
yeah, we had some things happen along the way. Kim hit a promoter in Europe with a highball glass in the back of the head, sent him to the hospital.
Wow.
We had our moments. These are all these stories are early Muffs. By the way, I feel bad that gig in Austin, the band Blonde Redhead was playing after us, and I felt bad for them to have to perform after that whole
Follow that.
situation. Yeah, after that chaos. But we had a bit of chaos back then. There's the time that I was going on stage with a lit cigarette for this little stretch of the tour.
Oh.
I would always like to have fun on stage, and do things, whether it was make up my eye to look like I had a black eye or whatever, or put on Alice Cooper makeup or whatever it was. So there was a stretch where I was going on stage with a lit cigarette in my mouth, right? And we'd start the first song, and I'd end up like spitting it up in the air. Well, this night in New Orleans, I spit it up in the air, and it came down right into our roadie Kyle's eye. Yeah. So, oh God, I felt so bad about that. He had to go to the emergency room, and
no.
So I stopped doing that, and luckily Kyle was not mad at me. Didn't hold a grudge. He got to like not drive and take some medication for a few days, and so yeah, felt bad about that. So yeah, we had things would happen sometimes with our volatile act in those days. We got past that and streamlined the act after, but we still had this kind of semi-chaotic kind of vibe, but it was generally in control. Paul Stanley, I gotta say, I hate to pick out a favorite member of Kiss, but I will say it certainly was not Paul Stanley for most of my life. But in my later days now, my old age, Paul's my favorite member. And look, we all know Paul got Kiss through the late 80s. And arguably still does. I mean, Paul seems to be the guy running the show, if you ask me. Like those later records they made, that's I think Paul gets the producing co-credits at least. Paul's a guy who calls the shots. Paul's the heart and soul of that band. Love him. Love Paul Stanley. I love everything about him. And it was an honor to be surprise immortalized with my face.
That was so cool.
As Paul Stanley. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. Why have you not
people
opened
can't tell
those
at
up?
home, but to my friend Todd Alcott surprised me with that. And the detail with my face, it's not just a matter of like, for him to make that look like my face took a lot of work. Guy knows what he's doing. And yeah, it's inspired all sorts of products, t-shirts, coasters, buttons, hat pins, belt buckles,
you name it,
lollipops.
Yes.
Action figures,
vinyl mats.
Vinyl slip mats.
Slip
Thank
mats.
you. I know I was forgetting something. Yeah, slip mats. Yeah, so much so that I need to post. I need to catch up and post some of that stuff. I try not to wear people out with it. Yeah.
Very good.
In fact, the last batch of stuff I got from the guy who makes them, I'd written him and I said, I can't believe you're still coming up with ideas. And he sent me a gif of a guy beating a dead horse.
Yeah.
So he gets it.
Yep.
But I dearly love the guy who makes that stuff. So